Welcome to today's episode of Financial Fluency. Today I am here with the lovely Patricia Lohan, who I actually got to meet in person a couple of weeks ago in San Diego. Patricia, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Jen, and it's so good to see you again.
So Patricia and I were in San Diego at one event together, and then I think Joe and I ended up convincing you to come to the second event that we were going to. And I'm so glad you came. I felt like I got to know, we've been in some groups together for years, and it was, it was such a nice I just felt like I knew you, and you're such a lovely person. And then I found out what you did, which is you are a Feng Shui expert, and you help female entrepreneurs accelerate success through creating powerful environments. And I pretty much immediately was like, I need you to Feng Shui my house. Which is what we're working on.
I know, which is what we're working on. Exactly.
And I thought, even though we haven't finished Feng Shuiing my house and I don't have the full results yet, I thought this was a perfect time for us to talk, and we can use my house as an example and kind of look through what you do and how this works for everyone.
Yeah, cool.
But first, we have to backtrack a little, because when I met you, you told me you're from Bali, you live in Bali. And I don't know if the audience has heard enough yet, but you have a very obvious Irish accent. So I was like, okay, living in Bali, Irish accent. How did you end up in Bali? And like, what's the story? How did you get to Bali? How did you become a Feng Shui expert?
Wow. So if I kind of start with, say, the Feng Shui stuff, like I've been a student of Feng Shui like for 20 years, believe it or not. I got books about Feng Shui for my 16th birthday. So I have no idea where that seedling of interest came from, but I have a feeling it was all to do with the fact that my parents and us moved house a lot as kids. So if I backtracked and counted the amount of times we physically moved house, was about like 20 times. That's a lot. And there was a lot of different experiences each time we moved. So as and then we'd be like, and it was kind of like they would like upscale, get a bigger house, a better house, and then they would go all out and redecorate it. And it was in this thing of like designing my bedroom and deciding what I wanted that I feel like the Feng Shui kind of came in, because I was like looking up books, and I was at the library because we didn't have the internet back then, but looking at books about like interior design, and like Feng Shui obviously came in because we had like, freedom to design our own bedrooms and help with what was going to be coming into the new houses that we moved into. And it was a beautiful journey doing this, but I kind of like was really interested in it for many years at all those times we moved. But then when I went to university and studied business studies. My parents had a business, a restaurant, and a small hotel. And I actually hired a Feng Shui expert for them. when they had like the beep internet, like I found someone in Ireland that did that, and she came and did some work, and I was still like, this is really cool. But really, my work, kind of this whole journey evolved as like basically a fascination with buildings, with houses. But as we do on most of our paths, kind of ignore the big signs. Like I was interested in all of this, but I didn't follow that path. I studied business studies, and I did end up coming back into the family business. So I finished a degree in business, and I came into the family business and ran that. So 24, I had 30 staff. It was like we basically started it completely from fresh. So it was like a hole in the ground. We built it up, opened up this huge, big business, and I ran that for 7 years. But 7 years I was fulfilling somebody else's dream, and it wasn't mine. And I think oftentimes we get up and we're, entrepreneurship and hospitality was in my parents' blood. It was in my blood. And, I just wanted to do the best for my parents. So I was like, I'm going to come and help you and do this. So I did that. But after 7 years, I was like burnt out. I was exhausted, and I was kind of done. So I quit that job, and it was a huge turning point in my life. I quit that job and moved to India and trained as a yoga teacher. And in that process, though, build up to that 7 years, things that started happening, like I've been interested in yoga, and then I was practicing yoga. So essentially when the crux came, is like, I'm quitting this job, what am I going to do? I'm like, I'm going to become a yoga teacher in India. So I really tried to escape and ran away. And I went to India and awakened a lot of gifts that I didn't know I had or existed. So becoming like, or being a natural intuitive. So I'd like angel cards for myself because I was interested in them. And people would come and ask me for readings. They're like, how did you know that? Or someone would be kind of feeling sick and I'd have trained in Reiki. And I was like, oh, do you want some Reiki? And they're like, what are you going to do with those magic hands? So it really evolved in this brand new journey of becoming a healer, and I'm not even a healer, but like a facilitator for people's healing. Because I really was doing that on my own journey, but also helping others. Oh, I promised I wouldn't touch the thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was a huge awakening. So I think it was like a spiritual awakening. It was I like kind of like, wow, everything I learned and I kept learning was because it was helping me. So it was helping me clear my trauma, clearing any anxiety, clearing the way to kind of see what I wanted to unfold for me in my life. Yeah, go ahead.
Stop you for just a second. Okay. So in the course of the story, you've talked about moving house 20 times when you lived with your parents. This is before university, right? Mm-hmm. You just mentioned trauma and anxiety. I can't help wanting to ask, why did you guys move so much? You sounded like your businesses, hospitality, because immediately I thought, is this military? Like, why would you be moving so much? I thought we moved a lot, and my stepdad did spec houses, which meant we bought a crappy house, fixed it up. As soon as it was beautiful, we moved. But that doesn't sound like why the moves? Was it all in Ireland? Like what's the
we did move to the UK. We moved because I think my parents never knew what they wanted. Actually, they never knew what they wanted, and then it was this kind of like, oh, we're here, but the grass is greener here. So and they saw opportunities in houses. It was like this fresh project thing as well. So like we would like live in a house, and then there would be another house we'd buy, but this one would be sold, so then we would move into this other place temporary, and then we would move. So it was like there was a lot of that, and then we moved to the UK for a little while when I was a kid, and back again. And I don't know whether like my trauma was this sense of, it was kind of became a norm, to be honest. Like the trauma and anxiety stuff that I was clearing wasn't really to do with all the movement, because I liked it. It like excited me. I like that kind of like fluid flow. And obviously it wasn't the most consistent life, but we did pretty much stay in the same school. So it was pretty much like literally you could drive around our city and we'd be like, I lived in that house, I lived in that house, I lived in that house, we lived in this house. And like, I'm not kidding. So it was quite an adventure in its own way. And yeah, no, literally.
Buying a house, fixing it up, selling it for profit? Was that
that was part of it. That was part of it. But actually at the same time, my parents' business was getting better. It was getting more successful. They were getting more abundant. So then it was like upscaling. So they literally upscaled pretty much all the time. And then they ended up in this really big house and they're like, oh, this is too big. So then because all of us had left. So then they went down to another place, and now they're in a house that's kind of like just a normal family size house. So it was just this interest, oh, we need another thing, or the driveway isn't big enough. Like we started to learn how to drive, and we were living in a street that had like one parking space that we could park in, and the rest of the time. So my mom was like, this is crazy. We're too near the town. Like we need more space for cars. Like I think that was one reason. And then they would be driving and they'd see something and they're like, oh, that's nice, let's try that one. So it was a sense of an adventure. Yeah, it's a bit mad. But what really struck me, and now I'm kind of fast forwarding a little bit, but while I recently, like last summer I was back home in Ireland and I was in Galway and I was driving around going, oh, we lived in that house. And this huge epiphany came because, I've been working with clients now for several years, feng shuiing their homes. And I went, wow, houses have different energies. Every house has a different specific energy and different things going on. So there's houses that are good for people, good for money, both. The 1 in 40 houses have that energy. And then the others are any combination of that. So they could be bad for people, but good for money, bad for people, or bad for people and bad for money. And as we moved through the different houses, very different things and challenges affected my family. And I'm really interested in now looking back at those times and really looking at what was going on in the family dynamic when we lived in each house, because I could pretty much write a story of like, that's what was on with this house. So one house in particular that we lived in, we were, just like, my parents were entrepreneurs. We had a business. We moved into this beautiful home in a very affluent area. And it was a very desirable place to live. We moved in and my money was really good. Like there was no problem with money. But behind the scenes, living in this gorgeous house, there was depression, there was eating disorders, there was legal disputes. My bedroom ended up having to be knocked down because of like this whole stupid legal stuff. Like we put this extension and it went so far to the courts that it was knocked down. Like it was such a bad house for people. Like I guarantee if I went and did took the readings and did the analysis of it, it was a bad house for people. And then I stepped back while I was at home in Ireland and I went, because I looked at the row of houses, and this house was built in the exact same time as it was end of terraced. So there was 2 other terrace houses and 2 other houses. They were all built at the same time with the exact same, they would have the exact same energy. All of the neighbors had sickness, had like prison stuff, had like really, really terrible stories going on in every one of those houses, because you got to know the stuff that was going on with your neighbors, like sickness, really tough stuff. Loads of money. They had loads of money. Money was never an issue for anybody in those houses. And that's what I do now, because every house has its own specific energy, but you can change it. And there's something you can do for everything. So for me, like, and that's where the magic is, because if I'd known that, like, we loved that house so much that we lived in, but there was so much that, like, just horrible stuff going on for no one in our house was left unaffected by the energy that was going on. And when we think about that, and, for people who are working from home, or, this is where I really wanted to support entrepreneurs, because I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and wanting to support people that if your house is not supporting you and you're spending 90% of your time there, like, how can your business grow? How can your family be healthy? How can you really just have a happy family together? And sometimes I get people's forums and I'm like, how are they still getting out of bed? Because people are looking at me and they're like, oh, your life is so with ease and flow. And obviously it has its moments, but in general, things go and they flow and life is easy. And that's what I want for everybody. Like, I want people to have ease and flow in their lives. So that's kind of like a real, like, right this minute, what's been going on for me, seeing people's houses and that. But what happened was, I was in India, I had this huge training, trained in sound healing, all this amazing work. And I came back to Ireland and decided I was going to teach yoga, which is not like the most profitable business when you're starting out. And then people started asking me to work with the sound healing and the Tibetan bowls, which is another kind of niche. So in the heel of it, I ended up starting my own business in a new city in Dublin, and growing it, like, so passionate about it, growing it to a really good substantial size where I was like the main speaker for sound therapy in Ireland. I had people I was training, I had my own practice of clients, and it was all great. Like, it was all good. And 2 things happened. One thing happened was I moved in with Ken. So we moved into his house. I moved into his house that he had built. And my business was really rocking it. Like, it was really doing good. I moved in with Ken and it was like, all my clients fell off the planet. I was like, okay. And I was like, well, maybe it's, I've moved to a new therapy room. I had moved from a new therapy room. I'd moved out of my apartment. So it was a huge transition. I was like, maybe it's just giving me a chance to readjust. But no, it was like really like, kind of like, I was like, oh, this is weird. And I went, okay, I'll just ride this wave and see what unfolds and keep doing my thing. But there was a stagnancy in it. And at the same time, I decided I wanted to study Feng Shui, because I had actually Feng Shui'd my bedroom in my old place to attract love. And it worked. I met my soulmate, I met Ken, and it was fabulous. And I did everything that I could possibly do on the kind of like the 2 levels of Feng Shui, which I'll talk about, like this. There's 3 kind of main levels. And I did the main 2, not the actual like stuff that I do now. That's like the third, more detailed one. But the first one, I got my space ready for love, and I energized my love and marriage area. I had like extra space in my wardrobes and everything to attract love. So I met Ken and I was like, hey, this is fantastic. Wow, I really want to do more about Feng Shui. So the minute I brought it into my practice and trained, and Ken actually did as well, it was like the first thing when we did the analysis of the house, Ken's house we were living in, was like, did you have financial difficulties this year? And I was like, whoa, Yeah. I was like my clients just disappeared. And what Ken hadn't told me when I moved in was that he'd been working for 6 months for a company and they had not paid him for 6 months. So he was on the verge of bankruptcy. And both of us were like really on a thin line. And this is something that's called a lock, and the building had gone into a money lock that year, which means that it's just like no money in, no money out. It's just like this kind of like, and you know, these cycles can happen in your homes. And I'm not here to like fear or scaremonger anybody, but it's more about like the energies that are flowing that can actually be impacting your business and you not even knowing. You're working so freaking hard and you're doing your best, but you're like, where's everybody? Like I was doing amazingly. And then it was like literally to zilch. And it just came out and it turned a corner. It was just a 1 year thing that came, and he got paid pretty much a couple of weeks after the Chinese New Year changed. So that happened. And I was like, whoa, this is so powerful. Like we don't even realize what how our houses can really have such an impact on our finances, but on our health and on every part of our lives. So I started bringing it into my practice. Excuse me. So my clients would be doing amazingly. They'd be doing all the work and they're like doing whatever they possibly can to like attract in what they want. And they were getting up doing Qigong, they were doing the homework with me, they were freaking doing the inner work, like serious, deep inner work. But they still weren't like kind of blasting through it. And I was like, what is it? So once I started, and I used to often be like, tell me about your bedroom, tell me about your office, have you much clutter in your house? Because I'd be like bringing in my kind of years of just reading Feng Shui books and all of that. To my sessions, and they would be like, oh, my house is fine, my bedroom is great, like I have an interior designed house. And I'm like, interior designed house don't matter, like aesthetically doesn't really actually matter. It doesn't, if it's the perfect house, aesthetically, like our houses that we lived in with my mom, like, or my parents, like she's totally OCD, everything, we lived like a palace, like everything was like perfect, you know, but it still didn't make it a better house to live in at times energetically. So, you know, people can get defensive about their home because they're protective of this space. But at the same time, for me, the clients would start saying to me, oh, wow, you did that Feng Shui course. Can you come to my house? So at the time, and I think this is like such a nice connection, but I did a lot of sound healing work with kids with special needs and autism. And I used to do meditation circles in the local special needs school. And I just loved it because the kids just loved the sound. Like they just loved it. And it really did help calm them and bring them into a calmer place. But one of my clients that came to me one-to-one, she was nonverbal, and she loved the sound. She would be like, oh, and she would, like, her mom would message me and be like, oh my God, like she's been like humming and singing all day. Like she doesn't talk, but she's just been humming and singing all day after the session. So the mom was like, I know this is helping her in some way. And you would know that she could see like all the things that were going on with the sound. Like it was just beautiful. And I bumped into that mom on the street one day. And she's like, oh, I saw you did the Feng Shui and you always used to talk about her bedroom. Like, cause I'd be asking like, what's the story with her bedroom? Like, she's a super sensitive, like crystal child. Like we need to figure out what's the story with her bedroom. And her mom's like, oh, her bedroom's fine. And I was like, okay. And you know, cause you just think her bedroom's fine. So she said, come do the Feng Shui. And I was like, okay. So I got to their house and I went around, and basically the energy that was going on, and it also kind of transposed that she doesn't sleep. So this little girl just doesn't sleep. That was just her thing. She just doesn't sleep. And got to her house, got to the bedroom, and the energy that was going on was fighting swords. It was just like a war zone, basically. And when her dad came home, like he was not really open to this whole Feng Shui thing. When the dad came home, I happened to be still midway through the consult with the mom, and the mom goes, hear this, like her bedroom's like a war zone. And the dad burst out laughing. He said, you don't know what this place is like at 3 o'clock in the morning. We're trying to get her to sleep because if she sleeps, her sister sleeps, then we sleep. That was her main priority. They didn't want more money. They didn't want anything. They wanted sleep. Like, you know, and we were like, we take for granted sleep. Yeah.
We want that in my house too. Can you give us?
Yeah. So like, I suppose the thing is with especially with the feng shui, the clients come on, they do the homework, they do the stuff, but like her bed, for example, her bed didn't have like a headboard. So that's like no sense of support. That's really powerful for having support in your life. Her bedroom, there's each person has their own specific feng shui for yourself. So there's directions that you can point the bed that will make it better for her to sleep. So we put her bed in the right direction. We got her a headboard. Her bedroom was actually full of clutter. Like, it was full of old boxes and old stuff. And I was like, this isn't going to make it a harmonious space for your daughter to sleep. So they decluttered everything, and they needed to put a specific remedy. So I work, literally what you're doing is you're bringing the elements in. Feng Shui is acupuncture for your home. It's getting the qi flowing. It's just like, and how I like to, and this is the most recent kind of way of me to describe what like Feng Shui is. Your house is like, if you treated your house like your best friend, okay? And it's like a person. And how would you treat your best friend? With respect. You would only put you'd only give them the best, nicest of presents. You wouldn't give them any broken stuff. You definitely wouldn't feed them junk food. Do you know what I mean? What I'm trying to connect here with is your house is your best friend, and you are like, this is how would you work with it, and how like really you'd be in a really positive relationship. You'd have such gratitude for your friend, and it would support you. Your friend would support you. So it's about creating a positive relationship with your home on that level. So they did all this stuff, and I then, what the feng shui, the kind of third level, what I work with is recommending, this is what you need to put in this area. So it could be like fire element, so not a physical fire, but like something red, or you know, different elements, water, air. We work with the elements. So that's what we had to do.
Not have fire near them.
No. So it could be literally like, this is my fire element in this area, like it's my painting with the heart. Mm-hmm. So she put the remedies in, and I just like, and this is the thing, obviously when your client does their thing, and then I head up, and I met her a couple of months later at the Mind Body Spirit Fair that I was speaking at, and I said like, oh my God, hey, how are you? How's your daughter? Is she sleeping? Yeah, she's sleeping. And I thought, wow, like, you know, this is not like, feng shui can help you make more money. It can help you have better health. It can help you be seen in the media better. It can help you attract more clients. But for me, when it came to like helping a family like sleep, you know, that is like a basic necessity, you know, and that like, after you've done that, it's like the next level of more energy. It's a happier home, you know, and last year I worked, and as she still works with me, client, her kids were just always bickering and fighting. It was just like constant. She's like, I can't listen to it anymore. Like, can you sort that out? And we just worked on her family and community. We did all of the areas. Like, this is the whole part, like what I love most about feng shui. It's like, it's every part of your home. So just like every organ in your body has a function, every part of your home has a function. So, you know, the heart does this. If the heart is blocked or full of like crap, it stops working, or you need to operate on it, or you need to declutter it. You know, it's the same with your love and marriage area or your family area. If that family area is clogged and it's not full of stuff that doesn't resonate with the family, or it's like out of balance, or there's something, you know, it's disharmonious, that's what it's going to actually start like having a filter effect on everybody. So there's 9 areas, like pretty much 9 organs in your house, and for each one of them to be in harmony, it just takes like what we're going to do. We're literally going to run the numbers. You're going to send me some photos, some compass readings. I'll work on creating the importance, and okay, well, this is your family area. And you'll become so much more mindful of that being your family area, and be like, wow, like, well, does what I have in it reflect that? You know, this is my money area. God, I definitely don't want a big leak in my family or in my money area, or I definitely don't want a load of stuff that's broken, or that, like, you know, that is just not good in that, you know. So you become much more aware, and you build a completely new resonance with your house. So what I saw a lot of was that when you attracted your house, and I think this is for most of us, like, we're all on this journey of like evolution and personal development and growth, and we want to like clear anxiety, clear fears, and that's what I did with all my clients for so many years, and I still do that in a kind of a different, I still do that, but in a different kind of model now. I help them with the feng shui first, like that's the foundation. You've got to want to embrace feng shui and do it in your home before I will take you on as a client for the other work. Because for me, it's like you're just putting a big roadblock in your way if you don't have your house supporting you. But when you've got your house, you're at this energetic level. So you're like two magnets. Boop. And then you do some like EFT or some healing, or you go to a coach and you kind of build up. Well, your house is a dense energy, and it's a heavy, dense energy. It's like total dense physical manifestation. That's not going anywhere. And then you could add some clutter into it, and then it goes, oh. And then something else happens, like an argument around that goes, oh. So it actually can pull it down. But what happens when you add Feng Shui in and we harmonize these elements, that starts to rise up. So you're kind of raising the consciousness to match where you are. And it's this shimmy up. So it's not like everything is easy, because you still have to keep learning from each other, but it's like everyone starts to expand and grow together.
That's so interesting too, because as you were talking about that, balance, I was thinking about lately we've had some big changes with our finances and our work and our jobs. And right now our house is a disaster area. As you probably saw, I had Patricia on my iPhone the other night when we did our first sort of initial Feng Shui session, and I was trying to show her, we had house guests too. I was trying to show her the playroom, and I'm like, oh, sorry, Eric, our house guest was in there. And yeah, I was just thinking, like, there have been times when our house has felt beautiful and open and clear and plenty of space and really great. But bit by bit, we've like continued to fill it with stuff and clutter it. And right now there are things that are broken, and there are things that I need to do stuff with. There are some leaks in bathrooms, like, oh, do I have to call the plumber to go fix it, or can I just fix it? But I haven't gotten it to it yet. But the other question I wanted to ask you, okay, telling these stories about families and things that happen when people move in and out of houses. I lived in a house in Philly that was, from the 1800s. It had both gas and electric light fixtures. I thought it was amazing. It had leaded glass windows. It had like formal parlor with pocket doors. It was beautiful, but I never saw anything to, and maybe I'm not sensitive in the right way, or it just wasn't there. Most of my roommates were convinced it was haunted. And it did have the exact wallpaper from the Amityville horror movie. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
No, I didn't, but that's so funny.
And like, we watched that movie in that house and we're like, oh my God, this is the exact same wallpaper. And the way that you go down to the basement, which is the portal to hell in the movie, was a very similar walk through the kitchen, down some stairs to our basement, which is where our bands practiced, in this basement. And we had other like bands would come and stay at our house, and a couple people told us that they saw a ghost or something, or they felt something, or like, and I don't know, as you were talking about that, I was like, I wonder if hauntings, like what people interpret as hauntings, might also be some of the things like shiftings and energy. What's your take?
So my take is there's definitely, some houses will definitely, some spirits won't have passed through, and they may just stay where they're comfortable, in their comfort zone, you know, like, you can. I'm not actually a ghostbuster, like, genuinely, like, because we have talked about this in our training and stuff, so that's not like what I essentially do. But what happens is, as you shift the energy and you start putting the remedies in, you know, that person or that spirit may just feel like, actually, they've really taken ownership of this house, and maybe it's time for me to go. You know, so I definitely think they do exist, and I've heard stories of them. But also, there's a space that you can, you know, one story that comes to mind is a lady saying that they used to have a spirit literally sitting in an armchair in the house, and every time if someone sat in that armchair, they'd get all shivers down their body. So what they did was they basically spoke to the spirit and said, you know, this is our house now. And I think it's time that you moved on. And they just basically invited the ghost out and brought some flowers and kind of rehomed him and said, look, maybe it's time for you to pass through, and have like a conversation with it. And I do teach people how to space clear their home, and you know, like you were saying about that house being the haunted one, or like one of these really old houses, but even new houses, you know, these walls have ears. Just like I said, if it's like a person, it has ears, and it absorbs the energy, it absorbs the conversations, and absorbs what's going on. So that's another practice that I do teach, is like how to, you know, clear that and how to keep it at a really positive vibration. So there's different layers, as in, like, first of all, there's like the clutter. The second thing is, you know, fixing anything's broken, like, Jen, get those leaks fixed, ring that plumber, because that is finances dripping away. You know, it's fine. It's money dripping away in kind of like unknown, annoying ways. You're like, how can we not hold on to our money? Well, if it's like literally water is connected with that. So anybody who's leaks, definitely fix those. Broken stuff, you know, if it's broken, it's actually, and then it's in a specific, it will be located in a specific part of your home. So then it's just really depleting the energy of that area.
Okay.
You know, light bulbs is another one, like burnt out light bulbs. You know, if you have burnt out light bulbs.
One of my 4 light bulbs right here is out right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just irritating me out. And I need to go. It's so that in our house, I don't know, the people when they renovated, they put these fans in, these ceiling light fans.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it here.
Yeah.
And okay, so they're non-standard bulbs. They have very small ends, but this fan is different than the fan up in the entryway. So not only do I need non-standard like ends of bulb sizes, it's 2 different ones that I have to buy. Sometimes I'll think, oh, I have a spare one, and then I go to put it in, and I'm like, oh, it's not quite the right spare one.
Yeah, one. That's okay.
Why? You know, phone chargers. There's so many things where I'm like, can't we just standardize it like a 3-prong in the wall? Can't we make all light bulbs have the same end? Can we make all phones have the same charger? Come on, guys. I know it's sell more, but we'll just make life so much easier for us all.
Yeah.
Bulbs, right?
Well, with the burnt out light bulbs, can being physically being burnt out or exhaustion. So just kind of like
I'm exhausted right now. To be honest, I was just like, I did a podcast earlier, and I'd forgotten until the little ring came up that I had one tonight. Because I usually do them in the day, except for people in other, you know, time zones. Then I'm like, okay, let's do an evening for me as a morning for you. But yeah, I've had a sick kid home this week and like rearranged so many things that I'm definitely exhausted.
Yeah. So it's like
that will help me feel less.
So putting it in and just being like, yeah, and like the thing is, it's like the house starts to gives you little warning signs. You know, it gives you little like signs. You know, you're living in it. It gives you a little sign. It's like you're just a bit like, oh. Then you go, okay, well, what do I need to do to not feel so burnt out? Like, what can I do just something small for myself? And if you start listening to that, you'll start seeing a bigger difference. So, let me see, leaks, burnt out light bulbs, fixing anything that's broken, like a handle on your finances. So, you know, your front door is the mouth of your house. So if we're thinking about your house being a person, like you want to bring in the energy with ease. Like, so if the door opens easily, that's really important. So one friend of mine was chatting the other day, and she was asked about the front door, and she's like, what does it mean if like I can open the door, but it's like really hard, I have to give a big push? And I'm like, well, you know, it's like almost like a struggle. It's like you can bring, like, say, the money and the chi in, but it's like a really hard work has to get it in. And she was like, that makes sense. So if it's like opening
around the door, what if the door doesn't quite fit in there right?
So that's it again. It's other kind of struggle. It's not quite like allowing it in. Cracks, like, you know,
it shuts easily, but sometimes I'm like we keep putting this sort of stripping around it because in the winter it would let some cold in, and I was like,
yeah, that's not too big. It's more about it. Like if the door was really blocked, it would be a bit of a pain. And the other thing would be about like your door. Oh yeah, so what I was talking about, like the cracks. Yeah, so anything cracked, like, you know, clean your windows, like stuff like wash your front door. So you're like welcoming the chi in. Clean your windows so you can see clearly out.
I don't think I ever have.
So it's like how you're looking out on the world. It's like your eyes. So if your eyes were foggy, you can't see what's going on. You can't see what's coming at you. And just even from perspective, like seeing you there at your desk, like I would not recommend sitting where you are if I was you, because you have the light coming at you. But could you move your desk the other way so you have a wall behind you and you can see the door?
So the door is actually around a corner right there.
Yeah. So it's still like coming out. So for sitting in that situation where you are, like
in that wall.
Yeah, but it's still coming in, like the energy comes in behind you and kind of lands on your shoulders. So it can cause like overwhelm, stress, a burden on your, like kind of like sense of burdens on your shoulders that you're like, or why didn't I see that coming? Like a frustration because you actually can't see what's coming at you, especially because if this is your office, like it's your working, like, how come I didn't see that coming? So literally turning your desk around with the wall behind you. The wall, can you have see where you've got books, the bookcases there? Yeah.
My desk was against that.
No, so you don't want your desk against it. You would like the desk kind of in front of it. So you have so what I have here is I have the wall behind me and I have the door there. And I can see what's coming at me and I have a space in front of me.
Okay. Well, I'm actually wondering if this is the right room for me to do my office stuff in anyway.
Yeah.
Like I've told you, we're starting to get long here because we're talking about so many details in my house. But we have 4 bedrooms. We only use 2 for actual bedrooms. So the others, we have an extra living room, like family room there because add on with this living room over here. So that's Stu's studio. You know, this is my office, but we've switched things around so many times. And it is funny, Stu and I've had this talk about every time we shift the house around, like I really like it. It feels good to move everything around. But then I never quite feel sure about where we've put things. Like right now, one of my big worries is you come in the front door and we moved a sofa across our bay window just because we needed it out of the studio to use the walls for storage for records and stuff. But it feels like you can't get to that window now. It's blocking the window that you used to be able to sit in. Like I used to sit in that window. And the dog still jumps over the sofa and will sit and wait for Stu. Like he'll sit in the window and look out. But yeah, I've always, when I started talking to you, I was like, I bet she's going to tell me we need to move that sofa. But it's also our second sofa and we don't really need it anymore. So I'm like, I probably should just declutter that sofa.
Maybe, and maybe it's kind of getting closer to the door so you can move it out. And I think that
hard to get, I have to unscrew to get it through doorways because it's so big. It's really hard to move around.
So the thing is, every little bit of extra effort that you make at letting go of something, you're making space for something new in your life. That's good. So really like being mindful about what you let go of. Like as you let go of things, you could just be decluttering. I have a good story with a lady. But a lady was like, oh my God, I've been decluttering like crazy. But then my kids come back from their dads at the weekend with a load of junk toys. And like they keep adding more clutter. And I was like, well, have you been mindfully decluttering? Like what have you been asking to call in as you declutter? And I said, well, make a list of what you want to call in instead of as you declutter. And literally she said she wrote a list of like, I want the money for my kids' Christmas presents. I want money for a holiday. I want this for this. I want a new washing machine, all of these different things she was calling in. And within 10 days, everything came in.
Wow. I'm going to do that right now. Because a lot of what I want actually is just clear, open space. I don't want the visual distraction of the stuff in our house.
Yeah, and and not even the visual distraction, it's like the energetic distraction as well, because if there's so much, it's so busy, you can't like calm your mind. It's quite tricky,
Yeah, so open space, clear surfaces. I love it when the horizontal surfaces are clear.
Yeah, it's really good.
I can't blame them for all of it because I put stuff places too, but they're expulsives, like they.
Yeah.
And my husband, when he works on stuff, he'll get everything out and he'll like take over the entire dining room table and like he'll be doing a project and he'll clean up, but he does it both ways. It's all at once and it's like a massive mess and then we'll clean it all up. But like in between, it doesn't.
It's like, and I think that like that kind of process is fine, you know, as long as it's not left there as a permanent like, but like kitchen counters are really important to keep those clean and clear because that's associated with your prosperity. You know, keep your bathroom door closed, keep your toilet seat down. You know, this is like the money, that's where your money is flowing out. It's like where you're letting go and releasing. So making sure that the toilet door is closed, the toilet seat is down, that's like holding in the prosperity in your home.
I had no idea. Okay, let's do a quick recap for listeners. So some of the tips you've given us just now that I'm going to go do right now: fixing the leaks, getting rid of broken stuff, put the light bulbs in, the ones that are out, clean the windows, don't have your back to the door, right? Close the toilet, close the bathroom doors, declutter with intention of what you want to call in. The front door, to wash your front door.
And maybe have a nice welcome mat at your front door, some flowers, come on in.
Yeah, welcome in front space. Okay, is that kind of if people are just going to try something out and see how it feels, do you feel like that gives them a good start?
Oh my God, for sure. Like those little things are just it's all very subtle shifts, you know, and you just fix one thing and you find another thing, you know, and like, as I said, there's 3 levels. There's like Feng Shui, you know, declutter, clear out. You can add things in, like say, add some plants are great, like lucky bamboo or the jade plant. They're great plants or like ferns, like soft and not spiky. So avoiding cactuses or cacti.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you know, then there's the level of like finding what every area of your home represents. That's what we will work on. They'll be able to go like, this is your money area, this is your health area, this is your career area, and that. And then kind of adding things to that. So your wealth area is the southeast area of your home. So just go and have a look at your southeast area and do a bit of a declutter. Maybe bring in a nice money plant or something in that place, or something that represents prosperity to you, or some gold coins, like even chocolate gold coins, but they might melt in Flagstaff. Just thinking of something like practical that you can add in would be, you know, just some like a little bowl full of coins overflowing. So it's like the mindset of like abundant money in your home.
What if, I mean, okay, so I'm facing north and that way's west. So our southeast is our garage. Does a garage count, or?
It depends, actually. That depends on the floor plan. So when I look at your floor plan, I'll be able to say it's specific. And I think this is where there's different levels of feng shui. As in, like, there's the specific stuff that's exactly what I do, and I kind of take an analysis, like an astrological reading of your home, and that then gives you the real thing. But you know what? I have a free training that's going live in a couple of weeks. I don't know when this is going out, but there's a free training going to be opening up from the 24th of May that gives you all the tools into how to find your specific areas, how to find the specific areas of your home. It also gives you teaches you what extra things that you can add into your home to energize those areas. And we do a deep dive focus into the prosperity area to help flow more money into that area. So that's 3 videos, like trainings that I just created recently, and they're going live on the 24th of May.
Okay, we'll get this out before then so that they can go live.
Okay.
The links in.
Yeah, cool.
Not right around when the links go live. Man, I'm not a very good drawer of plans. I'm suddenly like, oh wait, is it an L shape? It's kind of an L shape, but then there's, I'll have to work on this. You know what, I bet I have a plan from when we bought the house.
Yes, I'm sure you do.
So I do. Okay, I'll pull, here's my house file right here. So I'll pull that out because I want to get you stuff so we can work on my house. And then maybe when this comes out, maybe I could do an update.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Because I've already been thinking about so many things just from that initial call, and questions you asked about what's happened in the house and different things. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. But we are totally making this a really long episode. And
that's okay. No problem.
Short, you know, just because people's attention spans. So this is super interesting. I can't wait to get this episode out, and I can't wait to finish getting my house feng shuied.
Me too.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So, yeah, so everyone listening, go do some of those things. Just try it out. Shut the toilet. Well, you know what, the toilet seat, I hate the toilet seat being out. That drives me nuts. And now I have a really good excuse to enforce the toilet seat.
Yeah, that's it.
The bathroom door, that's true. We know who's where. Like, this house has 3 bathrooms, but we only use 1 of them because the one here next to my bedroom, you know, my office bedroom, only if people are recording in the studio does anyone really use that. Like, we don't even have, there's no shower curtain even.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
That's okay.
Yeah. But enough details about my house. I love doing these episodes because you just couched me on my house. Everyone gets the benefit of it. They can all so try some of those tips. We'll put them in the show notes. We'll put the video series in the show notes, the link, so people can find it. And we'll also put Patricia's website. If you want to go work with her one-on-one like I'm doing right now, you can hire her there. Or if you want to check out, you know, your other offerings as well.
Yeah, sure. So thank you so much, Jen. It was a pleasure, and I'm excited to get your house all feng shuied. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.